Hey, hi! Welcome back to the series of SOTIF sessions. I am Totif Hema, your automotive expert. So today we are going to discuss about part 2 of this videos. Let us get into this topic. SOTIF Recap. SOTIF is an extension of functional safety for safety of uncertainties like environment, sensing, processing of complex algorithms, actuating and HMI, that is human machine interface. SOTIF is based on triggering events. These triggering events can be internal triggering events and external triggering events. Current scope of SOTIF is level 1 and level 2 of SAE levels. So that is driver assistance and partial automation of autonomous vehicles. SOTIF is applicable at vehicle level, system level, software component level and hardware component level. So with this component level application of SOTIF will lead to more robust vehicle. SOTIF is trying to attain qualitative approach through quantitative approach of scenario analysis. So if the OEM has more diagnostics of scenarios, then the more feasible vehicle or more error prone vehicle we can get, or the robust vehicle we can get out of the scenarios. So there is no particular architecture or framework for this standard right now. ISO is planning to define a proper architecture in the next release in collaboration with artificial intelligence and machine learning. So these are the 4 driving scenarios we have discussed in the previous video, that is area 1, area 2, area 3, area 4. So both unknown safe scenario does not, the verification and validation activity is not required for this. Known safe scenario, that is area 1, normal verification and validation is sufficient for this thing. So in case of known unsafe scenario and unknown unsafe scenario, that is area 2 and area 3, needs SOTIF oriented verification and validation. So remember, area 2 and area 3 needs SOTIF oriented verification and validation activity. Here is a flowchart of documentation activities which will happen in SOTIF. So these all numberings will indicate clause number or in SOTIF. So SOTIF will have 8 clauses from 5 to 12 in these are the main clauses. So 5 is function and system definition. So once after defining this thing, like we will go ahead with hazard analysis and risk assessment with respect to SOTIF, and the risk is okay, there is no harm with that risk, then we will accept that risk and we will review the risk and we will accept it. So in case the risk will cause a harm, okay, then we will identify and evaluate the triggering events. So what causes this risk, what triggering event will lead this risk, okay. Once we identify this triggering event, then the triggering event is okay, acceptable, then we will do the verification and validation strategy we will define. So in case if it is not acceptable, then we will revise, we will do a functional modification to reduce the SOTIF risk. This will make us to revise the function and system specification document. Okay, coming to this S scenario, this identified triggering event is acceptable, then we will do this verification and validation strategy, right? So after that, once we define a strategy, we will try to execute it. So first thing is we will do a verification activity with respect to SOTIF, and here known scenarios are covered. So if all the known scenarios are covered, then we will go ahead with the validation. If it is not covered, then we will revise the functionality. Functional modification is done in function and system specification. Okay, once the validation, here it comes like validation of the SOTIF is done. Once the validation of SOTIF is done, then we will go ahead with, here the in case of validation we will cover the system components do not cover the unreasonable risk here. So in case of validation, so we will have unknown scenarios which are covered in this validation activity. So once after this, these are system components do not use unreasonable risk. So this, if it is yes, then methodology and criteria for SOTIF release we will define, and we will do the residual risk acceptable, then we will accept the risk. If it is yes, we will accept the risk. If it is no, we will revise the functional modification, and we in functional and function and system specification. So this is how the entire flow is. So here it comes. As I said in the previous slide, we need verification and validation activity with respect to SOTIF in case of area 2 and area 3. So here it comes, like the hazard analysis and risk assessment, and decision making based on the harm nature of risk, identification of triggering events. All this comes into evaluation or analysis by evaluation by analysis. So here it comes the entire verification activity. So known scenario verification activities. So known unsafe is area 2. So this entire verification activity will come into area 2. So here it comes, area 3 is unknown unsafe scenario. So the entire validation activity and the acceptance of residual risk, or methodology, and so this all comes into area 3. So here it comes another interaction of SOTIF and functional safety in detail. So as I said before, like SOTIF will have 8 clauses. These 8 clauses are main clauses. Okay, and it starts from number 5 to number 12. So first thing is functional and system specification. Second thing is HARA or hazard identification risk evaluation with respect to SOTIF. Next thing is identification and evaluation of triggering events. The next thing is functional modification to reduce SOTIF risk. The next thing is definition of verification and validation strategy. Once definition of verification and validation activities strategy is defined, then we need to execute, right? So verification of the, first of all, we need to do verification of the SOTIF, and next thing is validation of SOTIF. And after completion of verification and validation, we need to define the methodology and criteria for SOTIF release. So in the next slide, it is much more clear. So how it happens during the item definition phase of functional safety. So we will have functional and system specification writing also in parallel with respect to SOTIF. So when we are doing HARA and functional safety concept in case of functional safety, we will do SOTIF HARA, SOTIF risk identification and evaluation, and hazardous use case identification. Both we will do together. Okay, then in case of technical safety concept, we will do functional improvement and functional improvement to reduce the risk. And when we are doing the hardware and software development, we will define a verification and validation strategy with respect to SOTIF. And SOTIF functional concept, risk mitigation, verification and validation, everything we do in the hardware and software development phase. And in case of functional safety. Okay, while we are doing a verification test in case of functional safety, we will execute verification, SOTIF verification also, which covers known use cases. So the next thing is, when we are doing vehicle level validation testing in functional safety, we will do validation with respect to SOTIF to evaluate unknown use cases. So at the end, we will do a functional safety assessment in case of functional safety. What about SOTIF is, we will do residual risk evaluation. So with this, I have completed the part 2 of SOTIF. If you like this concept, click on the like button. If you want further more automotive videos, subscribe to my channel. The part 1 link will be provided in the description section. So you can click on that and you can watch the part 1 as well. Thank you.